Spartan race will expose any aspect of your physical fitness.
Well, yeah, no, I remember you were trying to explain it to me once. Like, I know there's like a certain amount of points or penalties you get for doing things incorrectly. Could you walk us through like what a Spartan race is, like in terms of the exercises that you do and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how you win?
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah,
It's not always the first person through the line, right? It's like,
well,
what if you screwed up on like a,
yeah. So it used to have a penalty right at the spot, and there'd have referees, and if you failed, you'd have to do 30 burpees before you continued. They started getting rid of burpees because they were a little hard to, let's say, referee, like reps wise.
what
And
is a good enough burpee?
exactly. Yeah. So they had standards, but of course there were always issues with someone like missing a rep. You'd get time penalty. They started adding more like penalty loops. So if you fail, there would like be this bonus loop before you went back onto the course. So you would just have to run more and then continue, which, can play a big factor if you're looking at, they're from 5K to 25K, right? And, back in the day, it was a little more like Wild West where you show up and the race was maybe 13 miles, but you never knew around 15 miles and you didn't know what the obstacles were. And now it's way more standardized where it's just, what's going to come up in each distance and what to expect. So good, you can train for it. And at the elite level, like not a lot of people are failing unless it was like, let's say a rainy day,
Right.
or people just make a mental error or miss like one of the very specific skills. But for the most part, it was just how efficient you could get through it at the end. And it became, you couldn't just win from completing the obstacles. Like you had to be, really good at going through, let's say Ninja Warrior style rigs, or carrying a sandbag or climbing a rope or going on hands and knees under barbed wire and rolling through it as fast as you can, but getting up and running kind of a decent pace through different terrains that is really just the combination of the whole race. So it was I loved it. Like my first one, I finished it and I was at a pretty key race. I didn't realize it was one of the like main big races in Canada, and a lot of the guys that were doing it on like an elite level were there, and I didn't know who I was racing, right? You start to know the sport after a while, who's the fastest guys, you show up and the start.
So he's doing his warm up.
And
Same as
so so guys who's good, who's shooting for it, and there's always the odd person that shows up and does well, but for the most part it was the people that were there. And after my first race I finished and I got on the podium, like a third place, awesome, by like 4 seconds. Didn't realize who I beat. Anyways, the guys finished ahead of me and stuff, came up to me, and no one knew who I was. I definitely looked like I didn't know what I was doing. I was wearing the worst attire to go through like mud. I was wearing like basic Nike shoes, just I looked like I didn't know what I was doing. And so they were really encouraging. They said, like if you did this well in this race without really knowing how to train for it yet, or
it's almost more impressive.
So I look back at that and realize, past a guy that just started cramping at like 3/4 the way that usually was like one of the best guys. Like certain things happened in that race that I didn't know who I was beating and who made mistakes and whatever, but I loved it. I love the kind of variability to it and running and kind of like pushing yourself and continuing on after you feel completely exhausted from something, but kept switching up. That I liked it. And so I was hooked after that and kept up with it, like I said, since 2014, and kind of understood the sport and got great opportunities from it and kept up with it and did a few other obstacle races like brands and not just Spartan race. But how I would say Spartan race is like Ironman to triathlon, right? It's like the most kind of respected competitive version of triathlons, let's say. Maybe like there's obviously Olympic and stuff like that, but there's other brands of obstacle racing, but Spartan was kind of where you went to get the best branding, the best event, and so it was great.